I spent $7,000 on her dream purse. She gave it to her secret boyfriend. Now I make $500,000 mocking her. I've always believed in going big when it comes to the people you care about. It's a mindset I've carried with me since I was young. My parents, both in the service industry, didn't have much, but when it came to birthdays, holidays, any excuse really, they made sure I felt like I was the center of the universe. It wasn't about the price of the gifts, but about making moments feel unforgettable. It's a lesson I took with me into adulthood. So when my girlfriend Emily and I hit our 1-year anniversary, I knew it had to be special. We'd been through the usual ups and downs, early fights, late night talks, awkward silences, but there was always this spark between us. We connected in a way that I couldn't quite explain. She'd walk into a room and everything else would blur out. It wasn't just her looks, though. Let's be honest, she was stunning. It was her energy, the way she made everything feel like an adventure. Emily had always been a little hard to shop for. She wasn't into big, flashy things like some of my exes were. It wasn't about diamonds or fancy cars for her. No, she liked things that felt personal. She loved small, meaningful gestures, like handwritten letters or an inside joke between us that no one else could understand. But as our relationship grew, so did the stakes. I wanted to get her something that would show just how far I'd come, just how much she meant to me. I knew she'd been eyeing that purse, for months. It was from a designer I'd only recently discovered, but to Emily, it was the epitome of elegance. The moment I first saw her gaze linger on it, I made a mental note. I didn't ask her for any hints or suggestions. I already knew. She talked about it like it was a dream, how she'd never been able to afford it, how it was the one thing she couldn't justify buying herself. I think she thought I hadn't noticed, but I saw it. And then came the day I finally had the funds from my marketing job and my small fashion side hustle. It was one of those rare moments where everything clicked into place. I was nervous but excited, like a kid at Christmas knowing I had the perfect gift, but unsure if it would live up to the expectation I'd created in my head. I went down to Beverly Hills, the whole day planned out perfectly. I had already made reservations for us at this elegant little French bistro, small, intimate, with just enough of that LA glam without being over the top. I could picture it now. Emily in her favorite little black dress, her hair perfectly styled, the city lights twinkling as we sat down for dinner. The purse would be the cherry on top, something that would make the night unforgettable. I walked into the high-end boutique, feeling like I was in a foreign land. The prices, the salespeople who looked at me like I was a novice, all of it felt a little too much for me. But I'd committed. I had to. For Emily, she deserved this. After what felt like an eternity, I was holding the bag in my hands, wrapped in its pristine box, feeling like I was carrying something that could change everything. I didn't know if I was doing the right thing. Was it too much? Too soon? But when I thought about her eyes lighting up, when I imagined her face, I knew there was no turning back. Dinner that evening was beautiful, just like I imagined. The small table for two by the window, the soft jazz playing in the background. The moment felt timeless. I wasn't nervous anymore. I was just waiting for the right moment. When the dessert came, I told Emily I had a surprise. She smiled, her eyes glinting with curiosity. She didn't know what was coming, but I could see the excitement building. I handed her the box, and I swear, for a second, I felt like I was holding my breath. Her hands shook slightly as she opened it, and for a moment I couldn't breathe. Then slowly she pulled the purse out, her eyes wide, lips parting as she stared at it in awe. "Oh my God," she whispered, almost in disbelief. I chuckled, watching her, waiting for her to process it. "You like it?" She didn't say anything at first. She just looked at me, her expression shifting between shock and joy. Then she hugged me tight. It was the kind of hug you can only give someone when you're completely overwhelmed. Her voice was soft against my ear as she whispered, "Tyler, this is too much. This is—" She pulled back and kissed me hard. "You're perfect. I don't deserve you." In that moment, I felt on top of the world. I could have died happy right there. Nothing else mattered. She was mine, and I'd given her something that would make her smile every day. I wasn't prepared for what would come next. 2 weeks had passed since that anniversary night. 2 weeks of what I thought was the kind of blissful happiness that only comes when you know you've done something right. I kept imagining how often Emily would carry that purse. I'd seen her show it off to her friends, her pride shining through as she talked about me. I thought it was proof that we were in sync, that we understood each other on a deeper level. Every time I'd see her with the purse, my chest would swell with pride. I was feeling good about everything, until the day it all came crashing down. It was a Sunday morning. I had just woken up and, like usual, started scrolling through Instagram while lying in bed. I didn't expect anything unusual, just mindless scrolling, catching up on the usual posts from friends, influencers, the people I followed. Nothing out of the ordinary until something caught my eye. It was a photo, a simple one really, the kind of photo you'd post without thinking. There she was, Emily, standing in front of a coffee shop, smiling, wearing that damn purse. But there was something different this time. She wasn't alone. In the picture, there was another guy standing beside her, an arm around her waist. The moment I saw it, my stomach dropped. I knew that guy. I recognized him instantly. His name was Chris, someone she had mentioned a few times in passing, usually when she talked about her friends. I didn't think much of him before, but in that moment I saw it clearly. He wasn't just a friend. No, he wasn't just anyone. He was the man standing beside her, with my $7,000 purse on his arm, smiling like they'd been together for years. I froze. It didn't make sense at first. I kept staring at the photo, blinking hard like somehow the image would change if I willed it enough. But it didn't. There they were, a perfect couple, her head slightly tilted back, laughing at something Chris had said. And then there was that purse, right there on her shoulder, the same one I had bought for her, the one I thought symbolized everything about our relationship. I felt a knot tighten in my chest, and my thoughts started racing. This can't be happening. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe they're just friends. Maybe it's a joke. Maybe he borrowed it. But deep down, I knew I was lying to myself. This wasn't some friendly gesture. It was something deeper, something I couldn't ignore. I felt betrayed, but not in the way most people would expect. It wasn't the fact that she was with someone else. It was the timing. It was the fact that she had taken something I had worked so hard to give her and turned it into a symbol of someone else. Someone else. I started piecing things together. All those little moments I'd ignored before. The late nights, the random girls' nights that were a little too often. The way she'd become distant at times, like her attention was split. But I let it slide. I always made excuses for her. This was different. This was real. And it hurt in a way I didn't know how to describe. I sat there in silence, staring at the screen. My mind was spiraling, racing through everything I'd ever known about Emily, about us. But most of all, I was angry. Angry that she had the audacity to wear that purse, my gift, while being with him. It wasn't just betrayal, it was humiliation. I wasn't just the boyfriend who got played. I was the one who was tricked into believing that I mattered enough to receive that kind of affection. I should have confronted her right then and there. I should have sent her a message, a phone call, anything to get the truth out in the open. But I didn't. I don't know why, but something inside me stopped me. Maybe it was pride. Maybe I just wanted to watch her slip up, to see how long it would take for her to expose herself. But what I knew in that moment was that I was done. So I didn't confront her, not immediately. Instead, I stayed quiet. I gave it a couple of days, pretending everything was fine. We went through our normal routines, lunches, calls, texts. But something had shifted. I couldn't look at her the same way anymore. I couldn't look at that purse the same way anymore. Every time I saw it, I saw him. I saw her betrayal. I saw everything I had been too blind to notice. The next morning, I did something I never thought I'd do. I broke up with her, not with a dramatic confrontation, not with shouting or accusations. No, I kept it cold, simple, and efficient. I sent her a message, just a few lines. Hey, Emily, I think it's time we both move on. I don't think I can keep pretending everything is okay after what I saw. Take care. And that was it. I didn't wait for a reply. I didn't need one. I wasn't looking for closure anymore. But here's the thing. They don't tell you about breakups like this in the movies. They don't tell you about the silence afterward, about how you can spend weeks questioning everything, doubting yourself, wondering if you missed something. What hurt more than anything was not her betrayal. It was realizing that I had let myself be a fool for so long, believing in something that wasn't real. But I wasn't going to let this be the end. Oh no, this was just the beginning. The first few days after the breakup were a blur. I didn't know what to do with myself. I'd go through the motions of work, meetings, and my side hustle, but it all felt so pointless. I couldn't escape the thought of her and him. I couldn't stop thinking about how my generous gesture, that $7,000 purse, had been turned into a joke in her hands, a symbol of my naivete and her deception. I had to do something. I had to turn this anger, this sense of betrayal, into something more. I couldn't let her, or that guy, or anyone else define me. I had to reclaim my dignity, my pride, and most importantly, my sense of humor. Because one thing I had learned from this whole experience was that I couldn't let myself wallow in the pain. I needed to laugh, to find the humor in it all, and to let everyone else see just how ridiculous the whole situation was. That's when the idea hit me. It started as a joke, something I thought would be a fun way to channel my frustration. I'd always been creative, and I had a small fashion side hustle that I'd been working on for a while. I loved creating and designing unique merchandise, mostly limited edition pieces. What if I could make a brand out of this heartbreak? What if I could take the very thing that hurt me, the betrayal, and turn it into something that made people laugh, something they could relate to? And that's when Cheater's Closet was born. I had the logo made, bold, sharp lettering with a broken heart in the center. It was playful, a little sarcastic, but it had a bite to it. My tagline read, "Where your ex's worst mistakes become your best fashion statement." It wasn't just a fashion line, it was a statement. It was cathartic, and most importantly, it was about laughing at the situation, even when it hurt. I started with simple designs, t-shirts, hoodies, and caps with witty phrases that mocked relationship betrayals. Phrases like, "I'm the one who got cheated on, but at least my hoodie is loyal," or "My ex's new boyfriend wears my gifts better than she did." I even did a special edition purse mimicking the style of the $7,000 one I'd bought Emily, but with a twist, a cheeky tag that read, "Not the first time someone's been carried away." It was a little mean-spirited, but I needed to get the message out. I needed people to see what I saw, how ridiculous and painful relationships can be when trust is shattered. I had no idea how it would be received. To be honest, I didn't care. I wasn't doing it for validation. I wasn't trying to make a profit at first. It was just something I needed to do for myself. But then came TikTok. I posted a few videos, mostly just fun little clips, where I talked about the concept behind Cheater's Closet. I mocked my own heartbreak, made fun of myself, and showed off the merchandise. The whole vibe was lighthearted, but with an underlying sharpness. It was a way for me to take back control, to stop being the guy who got played and to start being the guy who owned his narrative. I never expected it to blow up like it did. Within days, my TikTok videos started getting shared. People resonated with the idea. They commented with their own stories of betrayal, of heartbreak, of how they'd been let down by people they loved. Cheater's Closet wasn't just a brand, it was a movement, a way for people to take something painful and turn it into a joke, a way to heal and laugh at the absurdity of their own experiences. The orders started coming in faster than I could keep up with. My Instagram followers skyrocketed. I went from a few hundred to thousands overnight. People loved it. They bought the hoodies, the shirts, the purses, each one proudly showing off their Cheater's Closet merch like a badge of honor. It wasn't just fashion, it was a statement, a way of reclaiming power after being hurt. I couldn't believe it. My heartbreak had turned into a business, a profitable one. I'd always wanted my side hustle to blow up, but not like this. This wasn't about the money. It was about reclaiming my sense of identity, turning my pain into something empowering. And it felt good. Damn good. Every sale was like a little victory. Every comment from someone sharing their own heartbreak was like a reminder that I wasn't alone. I wasn't the only one who had been played. I wasn't the only one who had been let down by someone they trusted. And then, just as things were starting to really take off, I got a message. It was from Emily. I had honestly been expecting it. I knew she'd reach out at some point. I mean, how could she not? Her betrayal had been exposed in the most public way possible, and Cheater's Closet was everywhere now. Her message was short and to the point. Hey, I see you've been busy with your new brand. I know things ended badly, but I just want to remind you that I was part of the inspiration for this whole thing. I was there, and I deserve some credit for your success. Maybe we can work something out. I read it twice, then just laughed. I couldn't help it. The irony was too much. She wanted credit for my success, for my brand, the brand that had grown out of her betrayal, the nerve. I thought about what I should say. I could have been petty. I could have ripped into her, but I wasn't going to let her have that satisfaction. No, I had something much better in mind. I grabbed a sticker from my Cheater's Closet collection, one of the most popular designs, a simple LOL in big, bold letters across a heartbroken emoji. I slapped it on a small envelope, wrote a quick note, and sent it off. The note read, "Thanks for the inspiration. You're officially the logo now." I didn't care if she understood the message or not, but I knew it would sting. And that, in some small way, was the perfect revenge. The days after I sent that note were some of the most satisfying of my life. It wasn't just that I had humiliated her, though that did feel pretty damn good. It was the fact that I had taken something as painful as betrayal and turned it into something that was mine, that belonged to me. Cheater's Closet was more than a brand. It was my story, my healing process, and now it was an empire in the making. Within weeks, Cheater's Closet was everywhere. My TikTok followers were in the hundreds of thousands. My Instagram blew up with posts of people proudly wearing the merchandise, and my website crashed more times than I could count from the traffic. I couldn't believe how quickly it had all happened. I had gone from heartbroken to making six figures, from being the guy who bought a $7,000 purse for someone who didn't deserve it, to the guy who was selling ironic shirts mocking the very idea of being played. But I wasn't naive. I knew that success like this didn't happen without some kind of backlash. People were bound to start questioning my motives, the ethics of my brand, and whether I was really in the right to profit off of my own heartbreak. I had expected it, and I had prepared for it. In the world of social media, controversy was almost always a recipe for success. It was the fuel that powered everything. And sure enough, it came. At first, it was just a few comments here and there. Some people thought I was too petty. Others said I was exploiting my past relationship. There were even a couple of influencers who made videos criticizing the brand, calling it toxic and manipulative. But for every criticism, there were hundreds of people, strangers, who thanked me for giving them a voice, for showing them they weren't alone. I responded to the haters with humor, never taking it too seriously. I embraced the controversy because it only made people talk more. More talk meant more attention, and more attention meant more sales. It was all about turning the narrative. My ex had tried to make me feel worthless, but now I was the one dictating the story. And then came the biggest surprise of all. About a month after my brand went viral, I received an email from a lawyer. It was from Emily. She was demanding a share of the profits. She claimed that since her betrayal had inspired Cheater's Closet, she deserved credit for the brand's success. She even suggested that we could work something out and perhaps collaborate on a new product line, one that celebrated the theme of forgiveness and moving forward. I almost choked on my coffee when I read that. She wanted in. She wanted a slice of the empire that had been built on her mistake, the nerve. I thought about what I should do. I could have played it nice and told her I was open to a discussion, maybe even offered her a small cut to shut her up. But that would have been too easy. She didn't deserve that. She didn't deserve anything. So I did what I knew would sting the most. I had a meeting with my lawyer. We drafted a simple response, a response that would make her feel like she had been played, not by me, but by herself. I had the letter printed out on official company stationery, sealed in an envelope with one of our most popular Cheater's Closet stickers on it. Your mistake is our best-selling design. I sent the envelope off and waited. A few days later, I got an email from her. The tone completely different this time. She was furious. "How dare you? How could you send me something like that? You owe me," she wrote. "I was the reason your brand exists. You wouldn't have been successful without me." I could almost hear her voice, seething with frustration, as if the universe had played a cruel joke on her. She had been the one who broke my heart, but now she was the one being played. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. I didn't respond. Instead, I let my brand do the talking. Within weeks, the media caught wind of the whole story. Blogs, podcasts, and even news outlets picked up on it. The narrative had evolved from a bitter breakup to a cultural commentary on how people use relationships for personal gain, only to end up being caught in the very schemes they orchestrate. People saw my brand as a symbol of reclaiming power after betrayal. It wasn't just about fashion. It was about empowerment. It was about taking control of your life when others tried to destroy it. My ex became a footnote in my success story, a brief chapter in the viral rise of Cheater's Closet. She had been part of the inspiration, but she was nothing more than that, a blip on the radar. She thought she could get away with everything, including using me as a stepping stone. But in the end, it was me who turned the tables. And then came the offer I never expected. A company approached me about buying the rights to Cheater's Closet for a significant amount of money. They saw what I had created as more than just a trendy brand. They saw it as a cultural movement. They were ready to take it global. I didn't need to think twice. I sold the brand for a seven-figure deal. I had built something from nothing, from heartbreak, from betrayal, from pain, and now it was worth more than I could have ever imagined. I'm sure Emily never saw it coming. I'm sure she thought she'd get the last laugh, that she'd be the one to walk away with something. But in the end, it was me who got the last word. I had taken her betrayal and turned it into a $500,000 empire. I'd say she owes me for that inspiration, but I'm too busy enjoying my success to care.